This is a long-term update on the Diamondback Recoil comp. So the comp version comes with rock shocks in the back and a better Suntour fork, the Suntour XCR. And though it is a better fork, it still has the old department store sticker on it that says, hey, don't ride this thing in dirt or downhill or do anything fun with it. So we're gonna upgrade that fork. The fork, it works well enough. You know, he rides it big downhill in Big Bear, and he's gone to down some big hills with it. But it's not as smooth or light or trustworthy as a fork that's actually built from real mountain biking. So we're gonna swap that out. The tires comes with Honey Badger tires, Kenda Honey Badger tires. Look at the old tread pattern here. These are pretty well worn out. And every time he rides this bike, he gets at least 2 flat tires.
Damn, that is flat as a mother.
I'll throw a link into the video here of him up in the California mountains, like 3 hours from civilization. He ran out of tire patches. None of his friends had any patches, and he had to ride on the edge of a cliff with a flat tire. So we don't like the Honey Badgers. He's heard from other people on the trail that they pop a lot. So we got a Kenda Navigal Pro on the back there, and we're gonna put something good on the front. We got some tires from France that are supposed to be unpoppable. The rock shock on the back works great. This is it's air adjustable, and it does everything that we need it to do on the trail. One of the biggest problems we've had with this bike is it comes with these little clips. I can't show you what they look like because they're all gone. They're these little pressure fit plastic clips that hold the cables in place, and they just pop loose and get lost on the trail. So we've substituted zip ties for that on all the cables. Other thing that happens is the bolts, no matter how tight you put the bolts in that hold the cranks on, they tend to get loose on the trail. We had Diamondback fix it under warranty, and they admitted that there was a problem with that. It happens on my other Diamondback bike too. On that one, I've just torqued it down and put some thread lock in there. But they tend to loosen up for whatever reason. In his case, coming down a big mountain, didn't bring tools. And the kids, if you're watching this, the lesson we've learned from my son is bring tools, bring an extra tube, bring more patches than you think you need, bring a pump. Just because the cool guys don't carry tools doesn't mean you should be 5 miles up on the mountain with no tools, looking cool, walking down the freaking mountain with a broken bike. So they replaced one of the cranks and replaced the axle or spindle. When I call it an axle, other people get mad and they tell me to kill myself and they hate me. So the spindle in the middle was replaced and the crank was replaced because it got all banged out of shape when it came loose on the mountain. We bought the full warranty from Dick's Sporting Goods, so every time it broke, we just would bring it in and have them replace the part. It took them a month, but they got it done. The other thing is when we are upgrading the fork, we're going to put a Manitou fork on it. It doesn't have a tapered stem on it, which means your choice of forks is pretty limited, and you're kind of limited to the crappier forks. In our case, the Manitou that we're going to put on here, Manitou Marcour, it's a decent fork. Just came out. It's got air springs in it and all the adjustments you'd need. But if you wanted to get a super high-tech racing fork, they've all got tapered head tubes and they've got through axles. Where this one's got the old 1920s clamp on the bottom, and it's got a straight head tube. That's something to look for. If you're buying a new bike, you definitely want to get one that's got a tapered head tube so you'll have more fork options in the future. And in taking off the back wheel, I noticed that it was wobbling in the frame. So you can hear something's broken loose in there and it wiggles back and forth. So back wheel hub is also suspect on this bike. I don't know if it just needs to be tightened up. I don't think so, because if it just needs to be tightened up, you're not going to hear that. And that's it. We're happy with this bike, for $899 to have a bike that you can actually take up in the mountains and ride. And then the fork's going to cost us $200. The tires are going to cost us like $25 a piece, shopping around at sales. So figure for about $1,000, $1,100, you've got a bike that you can ride down the mountain. And here's what it's like to ride this bike if you're young and have no fear.
We're at beautiful Mount Wilson. Scenic rock garden, Mount Wilson. We're just climbing right now to get to the trail, and then it'll be all downhill from there.
And if you don't know about Mount Wilson, there's a guy at the bottom that'll take you up for 20 bucks. You have to arrange it ahead of time, but look up Mount Wilson mountain biking, and he takes you way up high in the mountains, and it takes you a few hours to get back down to your car. So it is a hiking trail, so you have to put a bear bell on your bike so that the hikers can hear you coming, and that probably will drive you crazy after a couple hours, but it's a great deal, probably the best deal on mountain biking in California. Don't tell too many people because we don't want it to be crowded.